Good morning, Dan and Amy. And so, I'll tell you what, if there's one journalist who knows something about surveillance, it's Fox News Channel's James Rosen, our friend of the show.
Yeah, isn't it peculiar the Obama administration tapped into his information?
He's got a report suggesting that NSA is going to prove up the disclosures that House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes made on Wednesday. And we're going to talk to his colleague Bret Baier about that momentarily. In addition to that, you had Sean Spicer, White House press secretary, address, not Melissa McCarthy, the actual Sean Spicer, address CNN reporting about their favorite story, Russian collusion between Trump and Russia.
CNN reported yesterday that U.S. officials believe that are investigating that associates of President Trump communicated with suspected Russian operatives to coordinate the release of information damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign. I'm wondering if you can respond to that or say definitively that they did not do so.
So let's actually look at what CNN reported. They reported that anonymous U.S. officials have told them that information indicates that association of the campaign and suspected operatives coordinated, which they admit is not conclusive of anything, is bordering on collusion. The last line of the thing said, quote, "The FBI cannot yet prove that collusion took place." I think there's probably more evidence that CNN colluded with the Clinton campaign to give her debate questions than the Trump campaign gave any kind of collusion. So I think when it comes down to that reporting, it is filled with a bunch of subjective terms about this person may have done this, possibly could have done that. And at the end of the story, if you wait to the very bottom, it says the FBI cannot yet prove that collusion took place.
Collusion. The perfume I wore in high school.
Yes.
Collusion.
Lovely. Elizabeth Taylor's last offering, I believe.
That was good.
He also, just a related story, Patricia Arquette, you know, the actress Patricia Arquette.
What is she whining about now?
She has signed on to play Congressman Adam Schiff in the Boy Who Cried Putin, the Adam Schiff story movie that's forthcoming. She tweeting yesterday, "Remember this, if there is a terrorist attack or any crap before this Trump-Russia disaster is resolved, it may be a setup." So if there is a terrorist attack on American soil, you've got it on good information from Patricia Arquette and the tinfoil hat, the signals that she receives on her tinfoil hat, that it will have been a fifth column action where Trump actually set up a wag the dog terrorist attack to detract attention away from Trump-Russia collusion. Hollywood is a source of endless entertainment, truly, mostly unintentional. For more on the James Rosen Report, we have to get back to the adult part of this program. We're pleased to be joined by Bret Baier, host of Fox News Special Report, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time, and the author of the book 3 Days in January about President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Morning. So what of the James Rosen Report and what you know about the particulars at this point in terms of what NSA may provide the public?
We don't have all the specifics, but we do know that names or identifying descriptions are in this intelligence that Nunes saw that is not normal. In other words, they would have to have been authorized, tasked, if you will, to expand to include that information. So it is potentially an illegal act to do that at the behest of somebody, and it's believed that they will have the tasking order that they can show Congress of who ordered it. Now, this is a hypothetical game, if it comes from somebody in the Obama administration, NSC, or Susan Rice, or someone like that, and you have the sharing of intel that's not related to any pressing Russia investigation, but it includes people in the Trump administration and maybe even the president-elect, you have a major story. We're not there yet, but there are indications, and James Rosen's reporting is that they're going to come up with this tasking order, and we'll have the person or persons who decided to expand the reporting on who was swept up.
So that would provide Andy McCarthy has a good piece in National Review on this topic, and he says essentially there are two important questions that are outstanding after the Nunes revelation on Wednesday. One, did the Obama administration take active steps to capture communications of Trump officials? And two, if such active steps were taken, was it in connection with good faith suspicion of collusion, or was it Watergate-style political spying? It seems like perhaps we'll get the answer to that first question about did they take active steps, and then the second question becomes the operative one.
Right. From what we've heard from Nunes, this did not have to do with the Russian investigation. So, listen, I mean, with all intel stories, it's like little pieces of the puzzle that you have to put together because they can only talk in code because a lot of the stuff is still classified.
Right.
The other thing is that President Trump could declassify a lot of stuff and put it all out there. So that is a possibility. He has the ultimate classification decision.
So the intercepts that Nunes had, he ran straight to the president instead of to his other, House Intel Committee members, and he apologized for that. But he mentioned that the information was in regards to Trump's transition team, but wasn't Nunes himself on Trump's transition team? Did he maybe find out something about himself?
I don't know. We didn't get that indication, but I think he said he wanted to tell the president because the president had obviously been talking about this, and he essentially provided the president a blanket, even though it's not one-to-one what President Trump tweeted, which was that President Obama ordered wiretapping. But it's in people's minds. I think it'll be, if it turns out that the surveillance was expanded to include Trump transition team people, it'll be like, well, he was sort of right. He wasn't exactly perfect with his words.
Right.
And I think people will look at it like that.
Yeah. The other, one of the other big stories, we got to get to Gorsuch too, but Trump's ultimatum, vote it up today and out of the House, Obamacare replacement, or I'm moving on. What's your sense of how serious members of the Freedom Caucus are taking the president's ultimatum?
I think it'll change some votes. If I had to bet, and it's dangerous in this current environment, but I bet it squeaks by the House, and the real challenge is in the Senate, where, the potential is that the thing is undone and they start over in the Senate. And that's a possibility.
So the numbers keep changing. This morning it was 34 who were leaning against it or committed to no. What are the numbers at now?
They're in the 20s. They can only lose 21. I think that the pressure is going to be on the Freedom Caucus. The moderates, I think, are coming around, the Tuesday group. I had Congressman MacArthur on from New Jersey last night. They are in the position of always taking hard votes. And remember, a lot of these guys and women are from districts that Hillary Clinton won. But they have changed the bill enough for their satisfaction. So I think you're going to be, right around 25 right now. And by the time vote time comes, who knows what arm twisting comes. That could be 1 to 3 your time this afternoon.
Speaking of tough votes, you've got a number of U.S. senators that are in states that Donald Trump won who have to take up the Gorsuch nomination, or first order, I suppose, is decide whether or not they want to sign on to Chuck Schumer's declared filibuster on the topic of Gorsuch's confirmation. What's the Schumer play? He hasn't gotten a lot of receptivity from his caucus yet, and there was also Kim Strassel reporting in the Wall Street Journal that there was a deal afloat among some of these red state Democrat senators to say, hey, we will bring this to a floor vote if you promise not to exercise the nuclear option for his next nominee. So how do you think this shakes out, and what's Schumer's play here?
Well, Schumer's play is just a hat tip to the base,
right.
To say, I've got your back. I'm going to fight every tooth and nail, and I think that it may be just for show, because the Heidi Camps, the Joe Manchins, the Joe Donnellys, There are 11 Senate Democrats that come from states where Trump won 83% or more of the counties in that state, and they're up for re-election in 2018. You have to believe that some of them, looking at Gorsuch, will say they're going to make the case that if we can't approve this guy, who are we going to approve on the Republican side? I mean, he's kind of a choir boy when it comes to judicial history. He doesn't even have a case that deals with abortion, the most hot topic. And I think some Republicans look at him and say you should have chosen him second because he's the candidate who can get through the most.
I don't even think Chuck Schumer would vote for Louise Gorsuch to be the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah. Bret Baier, what did you take away from his 3-day of Senate confirmation hearings?
Well, that he's very impressive, and he's very disciplined, and he's got a good sense of humor. And no matter all the efforts by Democrats, like your own Senator Durbin, I don't think they got under his skin at all.
No.
And I think he did himself well. And I assume that some of these Senate Democrats are going to say, I'm going to vote for him.
All right. He is Bret Baier, anchor of Fox News Special Report, weekdays 5 p.m. Chicago time, and the author of the book that you must pick up, 3 Days in January, about Dwight D. Eisenhower. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.